Federalist 10, required document number 4. Make sure you have your green sheet. If you've been in class, I probably gave you one. Or if you need to print out the one we've got, or just create your own kind of document using notebook paper. Either one is fine, but you need something that you can study from, that you can then, take a whiteboard and write out the key points of Federalist 10 and then erase it and double check yourself and make sure you know it down pat. Here we go. Federalist 10, first bullet point. We got about 6 or 7 bullet points here. It's really one of the most important documents, so we got to know it well. All right, first off, so in Federalist 10, James Madison says that with liberty, factions or interest groups are inevitable. Like, you're not going to get rid of factions. It is natural for humans to join groups for whatever reason. He mentions religion and following some leader that everybody is passionate about. This is natural, and he calls this, he says, it's part of the nature of man or mankind. So we're going to join groups. 2, in participatory or pure democracy, in a pure or participatory democracy, factions will destroy the rights of the minority. So he looks at history and he says, what happens is that when people kind of vote on everything, people will get power and then they'll try to destroy the rights of the minority. And really, the whole function of the American government was to protect the rights of the minority. And I don't, and that can mean, by the way, a like racial minority, but in a more generic sense, it just means the side that loses the election. All right. So the side that loses the election, often the other side will try to, take away their rights. Hence why you have things like the filibuster in the Senate. It forces a supermajority. It forces compromise. And if you have compromise, you're going to get better things. You're going to get better laws. All right. A republic, representatives, is the solution. So if a pure democracy where everybody's voting on everything results in the destruction of the rights of the minority, which will end up in civil war and dictatorship, then a republic where we elect representatives is a solution. Why is that? Why is it that having representatives is better than everybody voting on everything, like the idea of democracy? Well, here's what Madison says. He says that representatives chosen, to represent a large group of people will refine and enlarge the views of the public. They'll refine and enlarge. So they're basically going to take all these different ideas, some of which may be, let's be frank, crazy, and they'll refine them. They'll make them a little more amendable to a larger group. They'll make them better ideas. They'll compromise, and this will lead to what we call the public good, where laws that are passed that help most of the people, and that's better than it helping just 51% in ruining the 49% who lost the election. Rather than punishing those who lose, we get compromise and better law that kind of keeps everybody happy. Like, you don't get everything you want, but most people aren't like ready to revolt. It kind of keeps like a peace. This idea of compromise in our constitutional system is something that's been lost. Most people think that if your side wins, you should get everything you want. And frankly, like, you just don't understand the Constitution if you think that. Like, literally, the system is set up to force compromise. All right, the public good, which are these laws that are based on compromise, that kind of have a little bit of everyone's ideas, even the side that loses, are more likely by representatives than if the people decide. So Madison makes the argument that, like, pure democracy, where like we're all voting on everything, isn't that great. We will do crazy things if we do that. We'll have a mob mentality where we're going to destroy the side we hate. Like, we're going to shut them up. We're going to shut them down, and take away their rights. But actually, the public good is better served by the refining and the enlarging of the views through representatives. And it's better. In a large republic, Madison also argues that there's likely more good characters, good in office. More likely good characters in office. Sorry, the office got cut off there. But large republic, more likely good characters in office. Why? Because there's more people to choose from. So kind of like the cream rises to the crop. Maybe, maybe, as a professor once said that I had, we elect, if you don't like the bums that are in office, then you can vote out those bums and put in new bums. And that would maybe question the idea that there are good people in office, and Congress's low approval ratings might, historic low approval ratings may question how good of characters are in Congress. in a small republic, the problem with having a small republic is that people's views are similar, and it's more likely that one faction will be a majority and they'll take over and then they'll destroy the rights of the minority. So in a small republic, like a small state, in a Greek city state, a Italian city state, or even in America, some small state, would more likely that one faction will take over and kind of ruin the liberties of other people. And of course, they're thinking about Rhode Island in this case. And then he argues, and this is really the most key point. So sorry that it's a little bit covered up, but I'll read it. Large republics, there are too many factions. See, this is actually a good thing. Brutus argues that too many factions will lead to arguing and nothing will ever get done. Madison argues that too many factions is good because no one faction will take control and violate rights. Large republic, too many factions, but no one faction will get control and violate rights. This is good. So you hear a lot of talk in the United States about gridlock at the federal level and that we're not getting anything done. Why? Well, because we have so many factions in our country, whether you go from the East Coast, West Coast, the South, the North, the cities, the rural areas, we have so many factions, the left, the right, that the reality is that our system is set up that all of them, if they want something done, will have to compromise, and they're not willing to. We have a very extreme political culture right now. And so the one good thing about that is that if we're so extreme that we're not willing to compromise anything, that we have to get everything on our side in order to, get anything done, well, then nothing will get done. And see, Madison's viewpoint was that that's better than something getting done and you destroy the rights of the party that loses. All right. So in a large republic, you will have too many factions, but that's good because too many factions means no one gets control. No one faction has enough people to run the country. They're going to have to compromise with other groups. All right, that's Federalist 10. Make sure you study that. This is probably the most important document, really important document to understand. All right, study that. Bye.